Okay. All right. There's a guy. Let me make you a little more expert on this. There's a guy named Chatwal, Asian Indian guy. We Asian Indians appear to specialize in the campaign finance violation area. In any event, this dude gave 180,000. We finished. 180,000 in straw donations to Hillary Clinton and a whole group of Democratic candidates. His case came up the same time as mine. No prison, no confinement. He got a fine. He got community service. Now, here's my point. You keep saying you did it. But anybody who champions justice knows that justice isn't just a matter of did you do it. It's a matter of does the penalty fit the crime? Do other guys who did the same thing get the same penalty? That's the America.
Bingo was his name. Oh, he just is giving it to Cenk. I mean, Cenk the Jank, he's getting clobbered here, folks. Absolutely destroyed. Because Cenk the Jank, he knows here in his heart, as I said before, he knows that the justice doesn't fit the crime. The penalty did not fit the crime. He just talked about almost $200,000 in donations, all illegal, given by another guy to Hillary Clinton. But it's okay because Hillary Clinton, she's part of the establishment, part of the elite. She's part of the upper crust. All right? Dinesh, he's putting movies that are going against Obama's administration. And they targeted him, folks. They weaponized and politicized the DOJ and the FBI and the entire federal bureaucracy, and the Biden administration and the Obama administration went after Dinesh. And Cenk knows it, but he will not tell you that. He will continue to say, "Oh, you were corruption.
You talk about equality. Let's have some equality of opportunity.
Let me just say one last thing about this. So Dinesh, that's exactly what we root for. So if you've got people who are corrupt, that's exactly what I fight against. So I don't just fight against you. I fight against Democrats. I fight against Republicans who are corrupt. If it was up to me, we would make that bribery illegal again. Not just his bribery, but the bribery where you do campaign donations, and I'd put them all in jail. Okay, but
well, I didn't do bribery. Just to correct you.
Okay, well,
you think I did?
Yeah, when you go to pay someone money that they're not supposed to be paid against the law.
What is the definition of bribery?
Okay, so let me finish my point, Dinesh.
Look, Cenk, you went to law school, but you have absolutely no freaking idea what the hell you're talking about. Bribery? That's like defamation, slander, libel. They're all the same thing. I mean, they're just different words. They all mean the same thing. I bet you, Cenk the Jank, you probably think that men can be women and that women can be men because it's just a word. It just doesn't mean anything.
Look, dude, you spent 8 months in jail. You're still arguing it. You're on probation right now. Is there a probation officer?
Bribery means in exchange for favors. Have you ever heard of a bribe with nothing in return? Ever heard of such a bribe?
You claim there's nothing in return.
You claim there's nothing in return. I don't claim that.
But a court decided that you were guilty and put you in prison for 8 months.
The government didn't accuse me of any bribery.
So to finish my point, before Dinesh went into prison, he said that Mexican immigrants, unlike immigrants who travel for a far distance like he did or I did, were, quote, parasitic. But since then, he has done community service as part of his sentence. And come to find out, oh my God, not all Mexican immigrants are parasitic. So Dinesh, I want to give you credit for that. You've got a nice open mind about it. Tell us about that experience where you began to see that maybe not everyone from a certain race might be parasitic.
Well, as you might imagine, this is the Cenk version of what I said, and you can rely on it being a fast and loose summary of the facts. The truth of it.
Pointer, Cenk's going again with the ad hominems, right? Going in again with the attacks. Now he's basically saying, hey, this which is fair game. Fair game, folks. He basically was setting this thing up. He's setting it in. He's on the pitcher's mound, Cenk the Jank. And he's trying to throw a fastball, seeing if he can get it past Dinesh Souza. Let's see what Dinesh says.
Of it is,
look it up.
Historically, immigrants came to this country when there was no safety net, when there were no benefits to be had. They came out of necessity, they couldn't go back, and they had to make it. In other words, there were ladders of opportunity, but there was no a rope that they could hang on to and have other people pull them up. What makes our situation different today is that we now have a massive welfare state. By the way, a welfare state set up by Americans for Americans. A social contract is among the citizens who are already here. There is no automatic right of someone who is not a citizen to claim benefits that Americans have collectively pooled for themselves. So, my point is America should have a generous immigration policy that attracts immigrants of the first stripe. If an immigrant is coming here to sit in a hammock and get free education, free healthcare, free this, free that, then stay home. Then stay home.
So just to close the point here,
First stripe? Am I first stripe? I feel good about that, I guess.
So Cenk, as we think about this general election, are you going to be endorsing any of the candidates, or are you going to write in someone, or what's the plan?
No, I never even technically endorsed Bernie Sanders. Everybody knows that I support Bernie Sanders because I support his policies. We're very honest about that. But
he's getting a very, very easy, very, very shallow response. I mean, did you hear that? It's like this. Because when he said he was, supporting, Bernie BS Sanders. Bullshit! Bernie bullshit Sanders.
my job is to analyze the news. So when Bernie Sanders, I thought, was wrong about gun policy, I talked about that. When I thought he was, for a brief moment, being hypocritical about superdelegates, I challenged them on that when he was on my show. So I will challenge Hillary Clinton throughout the election. I will challenge Donald Trump throughout the election. And I will hear out all of the candidates, Gary Johnson, Jill Stein. I'll hear them all out, and we will cover the news fairly.
Now,
and same question to you, Dinesh. Are you going to support one of the major candidates?
well, I'm going to support the Republican candidate over the Democratic candidate. And I didn't take sides in the primary, but I want to pick up on something Cenk said earlier because it explains my answer. He said earlier that we want an America that doesn't hide from America's dark history. He goes, America has done terrible things to Native Americans, to blacks, slavery, segregation, and so on. And we don't want to conceal this history. I want to invite you to go see the movie next month. Here's why. It actually makes a startling argument. It argues that all these terrible things were in fact done in America, but they were not done by America. If America collectively did all this, it would never have stopped. So obviously some Americans did it, and other Americans stopped them. Hold on, let me finish. Now, the truth of the matter is that the Democratic Party in this country, historically, is the party of slavery, the invention of the positive good school of slavery that purported to show that slavery was good not just for the master, but also for the slave. At the end of slavery, the Democratic Party invented segregation and Jim Crow. It was a Democrat and a delegate to the Democratic Convention who founded the Ku Klux Klan in Tennessee. And for 50 years, the Ku Klux Klan was the domestic terrorist arm of the Democratic Party. Oh. The Democratic Party also went into eugenics and forced sterilization. In the 1930s, a young JFK went to Nazi Germany. He wrote about Hitler in very positive terms, saying this guy has been misunderstood, people are jealous of him. FDR in the 30s sent people to Italy to study fascism, to recommend ideas to improve the New Deal. Not only did FDR admire Mussolini, Mussolini reviewed FDR's book in an Italian magazine, goes, this guy's one of us, he's a fascist. Now, you don't know a lot of this, which is why you're listening with a kind of bewildered silence. But the reason you don't know it, is that you, many of us, me too, we are the victims of a progressive whitewash. And the progressive whitewash, let me finish my sentence. The progressive whitewash is to take all the horrible things that were done and say, America did this, and America did that, or the South did this, or the South did that. No, America didn't do it, you did. So the Democratic Party, having poisoned the wells, is now pretending to show up as the water commissioner.
So let me just quickly ask. This is interesting.
No, I got to answer. Okay.
Before we hear Cenk the Jenk's answer, Dinesh D'Souza just absolutely crushed, demolished, decimated, dropped the A-bomb, the hydrogen bomb, the neutron bomb. I mean, he just completely, eviscerated the Democratic Party and basically said it wasn't America that did this. It was the Democratic Party that did this. It was the people within the Democratic Party. It was the liberals that did it. It was the leftists within the Democratic Party. And then he says some Americans did, Democrats, and some Americans didn't, Republicans. Absolutely, just eviscerate that. And when you see his movie, he points that out. People don't know this history of the United States of America. Let's hear the response by Cenk the Jenk.
So, Dinesh, this is part of the reason I want to do this, because just like with Ann Coulter last year, I really want to know if you're on the level or not.
All right.
That's what I'm curious about. Because do you not know about the 1964 Civil Rights Act? Do you not know that the Democratic Party, led by Lyndon Johnson at the time, risked losing the South for decades, which they did, to pass the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, and that Nixon proudly took on the Southern strategy, which was now admitted by two different chairs of the RNC to be a racist strategy to get racist whites. And that's why now the Democratic Party, which used to be conservative, and the Republican Party used to be liberal under Abraham Lincoln, have flipped, and the Democratic Party is liberal, and the Republicans are conservative. So, hold on, and I'm not anywhere near done. So you say FDR and Mussolini said some nice things about each other like decades earlier. I don't know if you know this, they later went to war against one another. So
and after
you have
the
a
war,
history of telling only half the story in a preposterous, comical way.
Okay, all right. I think we're getting to the heart of the issue here, so if you don't mind, let's engage a little bit about it, okay?
Oh, I love it, yeah.
All right.
Let me just add one thing.
Anyways, I'm just going to end that thing here, folks, right now. And that is, in this one here, back and forth, talking about the history of America, history of the Democratic Party. Cenk basically knows that, Dinesh has just completely, there's just nowhere for Cenk to go other basically than saying, what are you talking about? Everybody knows about the history. What, the 1964 Voting Act? What the hell does the 1964 Voting Act, 1965, 1968 voter ID, voting laws? What the hell does that have to do with anything? It has nothing to do with the precise, concise, logical, debate facts that Dinesh put forward. And it just basically goes to show that Cenk the Jenk had absolutely no response. None whatsoever to go after that. So he basically said, you're only giving half the story. Did you know that JFK and FDR, okay, they said nice things about Hitler and Mussolini. They're all chummy and pally and everything. But they went to war against each other afterwards. As if, countries and leaders haven't done that before. But the fact of the matter is that these guys, when they looked at it, they wanted to incorporate some of those ideas from over there. Which ideas? How could you incorporate any of socialism, any of fascism, any of Nazism ideas? How could you even think of incorporating them at the time? That's the question, folks. That's the question we need to ask. How did FDR even think to basically say, you know what, let's import some ideas from, Italy's fascist, dictator Mussolini? How the hell did JFK get suckered in to saying good things about, Adolf Hitler, the Nazi? How? Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host, Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. I'll give you my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.